everyone, welcome to this week's Art Weekly. We had an outing to Pevensey Bay and gosh, it was so windy. Everything I filmed and taught was hopeless because the wind was so strong that day, but fantastic to get near the coast nonetheless. As you saw on the clip, my concertina came apart in two places in the end, but I'm not worried. I can put that back together and that is not a big issue. And I started with the watercolours, and what my intention is, I'm going to freeze the video, and I got a few figures in, but they will keep moving. People on the beach and swimmers will keep moving. So I'd like to try and make a series of sketches of swimmers and figures on the beach, because I haven't done anything like that for such a long time, and they really are good fun. One section is a mix now. I've got a section of watercolour, I've got a section down of watercolour, and then I came back and put in rather a lot of, across areas that I didn't like, I went in with some pretty heavy acrylic. So I've got some water, I've got a watery ground, and I look forward to working on those, putting some figures in. I'm able to work really big. I didn't kind of contemplate it actually, but last week I went from working really big to really small. If you experiment working big and small and all those things in between, you do get to find your natural scale, and for me small is really tricky. It encourages me to want to get really tight. Obviously I guess it would, because there's no room to go with the brush. I think my preferred working scale is really the A1 sheets. I've got to finish these florals up. I've just left them, finish on the florals and put them all under a rug press because they need to be pressed out. You can't always work on that scale, and you do make discoveries when you work small. You do find little techniques and things that interplay whether you're working big, medium or small. I'm going in here with a Uniball rollerball. It's non-smudge, permanent ink, and just trying to put the outline of a figure. I'm referencing the screen on my laptop. I've frozen at the point where I could see people swimming or on the edge of the stones. In the back of my mind, I know I was thinking, how am I going to represent the stony beach? I get the figures down and then wonder about what paint. I've got a little tray here of mostly gouache, and I'm off here to fetch some small brushes. just about ready now to think about those stones, those big pebbles, small pebbles. They looked grey, there's sandy tones. It's a real mix when you really look hard. I'm telling myself that it doesn't matter what I put down at this stage, daubs of colour will probably be worked over. So I think instinctively you want to try and just get it right, but you won't get it right first time. Well, some very clever people can get that right first time, but I resign myself to just building up, and maybe when I've finished many layers, I can see something that represents the stony beach. Okay, I've worked on 2 pages, 2 sections of the concertina, and it gets a bit tricky trying to describe the stones, but I quite like these little very naive figures. I'm going to leave that to dry. I don't know about you, but you always have one pile that you just keep moving around. It's all too good to get rid of, but it's it's a pile. On our way to Pevensey Bay, we made a morning coffee stop at Hurstmonceux Castle, near Battle, and in the direction of the coast. We didn't really do our homework. The castle is beautiful, but the front, well, I'll drop the clip in and you can see the front. This is Hurstmonceux Castle.
After 300 yards, turn right onto Airy Road and then you will reach your destination.
But unfortunately, the day we've come to visit, it's not looking its best because it's undergoing a bit of a renovation. We thought this was very funny, but apparently the back, let's try and get it from here, sorry, but the back is looking splendid. So that's the front at the moment. Hurstmonceux Castle has a very rich history. It was built by Sir Roger Fines, who applied for a royal licence to build a castle of brick. Upon completion in 1441, it was one of the largest private houses in the country. He acquired his wealth and status fighting alongside Henry V in France, and then by becoming treasurer to the household of Henry VI. After the Second World War, the Royal Greenwich Observatory was based in Hurstmonceux. They left in the 1980s, and the castle and estate faced an uncertain future. It was saved by Dr. Alfred Bader, who made funds available to Queen's University in Ontario, Canada, which enabled them to purchase the castle. He told Queen's that he thought the castle and the estate would make a suitable location for a UK campus, and this was his way of saying thank you to the university that he attributed a large part of his success to. In 1994, following modifications to the castle and the conversion of former Royal Greenwich Observatory buildings into halls of residence, the first intake of students arrived for the unique experience of studying in a quintessential English castle. In 2022, due to renovations on the front, it will be a couple of years before students can return to study here. But what an amazing place, the most beautiful campus. As you can tell, I was really taken with the gardens, this deep, long border. This combination, was stunning. Smothered in bees, complementary colours, the purple and the yellows, just stunning. And we've discovered a grass that we really want to get our hands on. I have the name of it written down, but look at that with the Rudbeckia. When the wind was blowing, it was just dreamy. I'd like to have big areas of that in amongst all the plants, all the lovely flowers. Just loved it. I've managed to put down just a little bit of something here, and that makes sense. It's strength of colour, I think, works. Not finished, but at least I've re-engaged, and then, as I say, I can get them pressed. In my tidying moment, I found I not only work on the kitchen table, I've now started storing things under the kitchen table. It's got to stop, but I have a box that I remember and then I forget. This is the stage I'm at the moment. I see messages and then I forget all about them. I see emails, I read them, must reply, forget all about them. It's terrible. This is from Cass Art. That's sweet. This is supporting artists for over 100 years. The Cass Art family history. So, the Cass Art shops. And then a little bit about them. I have a real love of, I didn't at first, I didn't like them at all at first, isn't it strange? But I do absolutely love Amsterdam acrylics. And Liquitex, I've got a mix of things here. This is Professional Winsor & Newton, another Amsterdam. No surprise, it's mainly blue and yellow to mix green. I like the Liquitex red light, and that wasn't in stock. But I have got a light blue and a new Mars black. So nice bit of collage paper, and this is good wrapping. That will go in my wrapping box under the stairs. I might do a little bit more on here. I've got choices. I've got that. I'd quite like to work on that little board. So this is the Winsor & Newton Professional Cadmium Red Light. Well, I didn't know I was going to be working on this today. It's pretty wet again now. But crumbs, it's really nice to be up here doing some painting on this scale. I particularly like the green and this mix of pink, which I've got from that's the remains. I didn't remember having this. I do have, is it the same? Yeah. I did have a cad red light, so not much left in there, so I'm glad I ordered that. So a mix of cadmium red light, cadmium yellow deep, and then a bit of white. So I actually prefer mixing the colour. You know, it gets pretty mixed on the palette, but if you can see by my brush, I actually quite like mixing the colour once it's down and going over and letting things smudge on this 300 GSM paper. So it's not particularly mixed there. Yeah, it's just lovely. It's really lovely to be. Oh, where was I? There. Areas I can see. I could keep going and going and going, but I need to let that dry up and come in and see it with a fresh eye. It's so funny, all those weeks ago I didn't know what to do here, And in looking at other people's work and trying to assess what is the niggle, or what could be a tiny adjustment, it really helps you when you come to your own work to try and get that head on and see what could be the tiny adjustment. And I just couldn't see it on here. I think it was to do with the strength of colour here, needed a balance. So I'm happy to leave that there for now. Rocket's roaming around, he's wanting a walk, so I'm going to take Rocket, come back and have a look at that again. But I am drawn to this. Again, it might be a question of contrasting things. This is quite delicate and pretty, and this is quite strong, more forceful. So something gentle against something strong makes it a little bit more interesting. I feel now that I would like to just carry on with the florals, maybe. So, florals, to be finished, the concertina beach babies and my canvas smalls. As usual, I've got rather a lot of paint left on my palette, so I've mixed in that cadmium red light. It's very much the wrong tone, more white, but I'm going to press on in here. What I'll do is I'll put this down. I'm going to work really fast. I can't even see what I'm doing because I haven't put my glasses on, but I'll do that and then I just think that's not being right. Let me stand back. I'll come back in with stronger pink. I'll work across them all actually. I could go in. Okay, I can't decide if that's better or worse, but I've really got to take Rocket now. The poor boy's been waiting so long. Yes, ready, and good boy. Good morning everyone. Well, I've been thinking about doing some more on the concertina, and when I was editing that little clip on the beach, I was thinking that it was creative bliss, and I looked up the definition of bliss. Bliss is perfect happiness, serene joy, the joy of heaven. And to me, that just summed up being in that moment at that time, being on the coast. It's simple. It's something so simple as just mark making. I absolutely love that. I think sometimes it's so hard. You know, my initial thinking might be, oh, I've got to get something really good down. And you haven't got to get anything good down. You've just got to be in the flow of it, whatever it is, and think of it as something that is just the beginning, not complete. I think so many people struggle with thinking the first marks have got to be so right, and you can't enjoy it. I don't think you can find creative bliss that way. So that is creative bliss for me, just the most simple thing, the most basic, elementary blind contour drawing a little bit of that castle, just that in the moment, being in the moment, for me is where I find creative bliss. Yeah, just before I say goodbye, I thought I'd just show you, I hounded Craig to get one of the cradle frames painted up, and I could still do a tiny bit of tweaking in there, but that's the first cradle of the minis, so we'll continue with those. I'm sending blissful vibes to you all, and hope you have a fantastic week, everyone. Thank you as usual for watching, all the lovely comments, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.